Tonight he speaks for the first time in public for the friend who was hanged instead.
Wandsworth Prison, January the 28th, 1953. 9 o'clock in the morning. A crowd waits for a hanging. The bell tolled the end of capital punishment, but the controversy has never died. 19-year-old Derek Bentley was hanged for the murder of a policeman, but the man who walked to the gallows was unarmed and under arrest at the time of the murder. The fatal shot was fired by his underage accomplice. Christopher Craig, at 16, was too young to hang. He lived while his friend died. He has not spoken in public about the case for 38 years. Tonight, he breaks that silence.
When he was sentenced, I didn't look at him then, but I could hear him crying beside me. And then they took him away.
Where were you when Derek Bentley was executed?
In Wormwood Scrubs in a hospital block.
How did you feel at 9 o'clock?
Terrible. In fact, when there is an execution or anything like that going on, if anybody dies in prison, there's usually a very morbid feeling that spreads around the prison. At the time, round about 9 o'clock, a window in this ward that I was in with 12 other Borstal boys and YPs slammed shut, and some insensitive sod said, "There he goes," and some of them laughed, and I did actually cry.
Christopher Craig hit the headlines in November 1952. He'd shot and killed Police Constable Sidney Miles on the roof of this Croydon warehouse. Derek Bentley was with him on the roof, and although under arrest when the fatal shot was fired, he also stood alongside Craig in the dock. Bentley was deemed as guilty as Craig because he'd instructed him to fire with the words, "Let him have it, Chris." Bentley and Craig both denied those words were said. Craig, who'd broke his back jumping off the roof after the murder, still maintains Bentley's innocence, along with his own guilt.
PC Miles would have never been shot if I hadn't done what I did. So I am guilty as charged of that crime, as equally Bentley wasn't. And I had to try and defend myself against everything they've thrown at me ever since. And he had his people defending him. And I am sorry now that I couldn't have done more. And I've now come off the fence to try and redress that problem. I haven't an axe to grind, other than that I've got to bring this to some conclusion for what it's doing to my family and probably Iris Bentley.
Each year, Iris Bentley lays flowers in memory of her dead brother. She promised him in the condemned cell she'd clear his name.
Let us pray.
38 years later, she's still campaigning.
I want to get my brother's name cleared and to lay the flowers and remind them what they've done.
Iris has always believed there were lies told to convict her brother. Now Craig has added his name to the campaign.
I believe it was a conspiracy. And everybody knew at that time that if a policeman dies, somebody has to pay for it.
And who had to pay for it?
I couldn't, because I was underage, and Bentley fitted the book.
Are you called Chris Craig?
Yes.
To establish the truth and disprove the police version, Christopher Craig submitted himself to a lie detector.
On the night of the 2nd of November 1952, did you and Derek Bentley climb onto the roof of Barlow and Parker with intent to steal?
Yes.
He hopes his evidence, tested by the polygraph, will aid the campaign to get Bentley a posthumous pardon. The 16-year-old Christopher Craig was detained at Her Majesty's pleasure. He served 10 years for the murder and was released only on licence. That was 28 years ago. Today he lives with his family in Bedfordshire. The ghosts of his past are kept at bay by a self-imposed silence, especially with the newspapers.
They have been offering me money. They've threatened me, they've insulted me, they've libelled me, they've bullied me for over the last year repeatedly.
Why wouldn't you take money?
That is immoral. I have committed a crime. I was guilty as charged. Lord Hailsham, many, many years ago, made a speech, I believe, in the House of Parliament, that pimps, prostitutes and prisoners should never be allowed to write their memoirs. I believe that. It is immorally wrong. And I will never take a penny. In fact, I will never talk to them. So I don't know whether this will finally get through to them. I will never, ever speak to the press.
And yet you're speaking to us?
This, they may think, is a crack in my armour. This I have had to do to try and redress some of these things they're saying about me.
It's being said now that Craig is cooperating with the makers of the big screen version of the Craig and Bentley story, to be released next month. Craig has always denied any involvement with the filmmakers and has even tried to stop its release.
Hands up, Buster! Against the wall. Right on.
Cheeky little bleeder.
What's the matter, Derek? Can't you take a joke?
How do you know my name?
I like to keep tabs on all the local muscle. Christopher Craig.
How do you think the film is portraying you and Derek Bentley?
As a sort of Butch Cassidy Sundance Kid, it's developing into a myth that distorted all out of reality. The actual event is a sordid and disastrous affair, but it's been turned into a glorious battle. God knows how many shots fired in this film that just makes it more like a film of a Western or something stupid like that.
And it wasn't like that?
Not at all.
The chain of events that led to the execution of Derek Bentley began on a cold, wet night like this one, here in Tamworth Road in Croydon. It was about 9:30 on the 2nd of November 1952. Craig and Bentley had planned to burgle the butcher's there. Bentley had stolen the keys to the premises the day before, but a light at the window warned them that the butcher was working late. So instead they crossed the road and headed for an electrical shop that used to be about there. Again, though, their plans were thwarted, this time by a courting couple in the doorway. Craig had brought 2 weapons out with him that night. On the bus ride to Croydon, he'd handed Bentley a knuckle duster, and in his pocket he carried a loaded Ealing .455 revolver with the barrel sawn off.
The guns gave me a sort of security. I suppose it's like a child with a dummy. It becomes part of you and it just gives you a strength that you hadn't really got. My ambition as a youth was to be, as the term in those days said, was to be a gangster, not a railway driver as other kids had ambitions. And Bentley fitted that, mould of sort of streetwise and Larry, and there was sort of a natural attraction there. I have always thought they would never pardon him. With some events that have recently happened, regards your investigations, that I've been led otherwise to believe that it is possible.
Last year on this programme, we revealed the evidence of 5 new witnesses. They all contradict the police evidence that sent Derek Bentley to the gallows. One of them, retired policeman Claude Payne, was on the rooftop.
I was on the roof that night when Sid Miles was killed. It was only inches away from me, and I can't understand why I wasn't called to give evidence on the house.
One of the first policemen at the scene, his account contradicts the testimony of other officers.
These 3 officers in particular...
At the trial, it was that evidence, according to Lord Justice Goddard, that hanged Bentley.
They were conspicuously brave. Are you going to say that they are conspicuous liars? Because if their evidence is untrue that Bentley called out, "Let him have it, Chris," those 3 officers are doing their best to swear away the life of that boy. If it is true, it is, of course, the most deadly piece of evidence against him.
Christopher Craig challenges that deadly piece of evidence. In fact, he contests a large part of the police version of events on the roof. The very first policeman on the roof was Detective Frederick Fairfax. He said he spotted Craig and Bentley going behind a lift shaft. He followed and arrested Bentley.
I'm a police officer! Come out from behind that stack!
Both Craig and the police agree Bentley had been arrested before the fatal shot was fired. The police said as they moved round the lift shaft, Bentley broke free and shouted at Craig to fire his gun, using the fatal words, "Let him have it, Chris."
Let him have it, Chris!
The police said the 5 words that hanged Derek Bentley were not only heard by Fairfax, but by PC James MacDonald halfway up a drainpipe on the left-hand side of the roof, and PC Norman Harrison on the roof behind. All 3 said Bentley shouted those words, and that they were an instruction to shoot and kill. So even though the policeman's murder didn't take place at that moment, and even though Bentley was under arrest, he was as guilty as if he had pulled the trigger instead of Craig. It was much later that PC Miles burst onto the roof and Craig fired. Miles died instantly. The police said that Derek Bentley said, "Those 5 words, let him have it, Chris." Those words were what hanged Derek Bentley. Did he say those words?
He didn't say a word. I didn't hear Bentley speak the whole time, even when Fairfax grabbed him by the shoulder behind the lift case, that not a word came from him. He was just taken away, meek and mildly. Bentley wasn't aggressive. He was a flash, but non-aggressive. I don't believe he'd harm a fly.
At the trial, you actually said you didn't hear Derek say those words. Had he have said them, would you have heard?
I would have done, yes. Everybody else seemed to hear it. All the police in gardens that were twice the distance away that I was supposed to have been, they managed to hear it, so they say. So I'm sure if he had said it, I would have heard it. It only needed one sentence from me, and that is to agree with the prosecution that Bentley did say that remark. I haven't said it. I never will say it.
Why?
Even all the pressure, because it never was said. And my principles will never, whatever happens to me, I should go to the grave with the truth.
Craig says the police also weren't telling the truth on where they were when the first shot was fired. The police said Fairfax was with Bentley, just 6 foot from Craig at point-blank range. Craig says they were at a much safer distance, nearly 40 foot away.
Fairfax's evidence that Bentley struggled and I shot at him from 6 feet is totally untrue. Bentley was left at the top of the drain pipe that all of us had got onto the roof by, with the police standing at the bottom of the drain pipe. He meekly stood there while Fairfax came round the top of this stairwell towards me, and that is when I fired at him from 39 feet at least, not 6 feet.
He said in evidence on oath,
he
6
said
foot.
6 feet. That's not true.
Craig also contradicts the police version of what happened after PC Miles was shot. The body was left on the roof, and the police said Bentley was taken off the roof by Fairfax. This allowed Fairfax to collect a gun, and he returned to have a gun battle with Craig.
Drop your gun! I've got a gun now!
The police said Craig's gun misfired. Craig turned it on himself. It clicked, and he jumped off the roof.
Bentley was still on the roof at the time I went off the roof. The police fired 1 shot at me. I returned it. They fired again. At that time I had run out of ammunition. I threw the gun to my right and dived off the roof as I was going into water, and I was attempting to commit suicide. Nobody pushed me off. The police didn't, when they fired, they didn't, as they said at the trial, come out from their hiding place. I didn't even see who fired at me. I tried to shoot myself, and I had the gun to my head, not to my mouth as people portray, but to my temple, and I just couldn't do it.
Craig maintains the police also concealed a crucial piece of evidence that would have shown Bentley to be trying to help the police.
Derek Bentley was sent towards me to try and get the gun off me or to stop what I was doing. And I told him to sling his hook, and he kept coming to the left. Once he started to veer to the left of me to get round me, I threatened to shoot him if he didn't get back. That didn't come out at the trial.
Why do you think the police didn't mention it if it would have damned you?
That would have finished their case. That would have shot their case to pieces.
Not the case against you.
No. The man was innocent. I was doing my own thing. I was running amok. Nobody was with me. People don't run amok with friends or acquaintances. He'd been arrested, taken away as calmly. All the evidence in that regard in the trial is not true, and I am willing to have a polygraph and be hypnotised to try and bring this to some conclusion, and we will see who's telling the truth and who isn't.
Although not admissible in British courts, the polygraph test is used extensively in America as a legal lie detector. Here the government has proposed its use in the security services.
Okay, keep still. And the test is starting now. Are you called Chris Craig?
Yes.
On the night of the 2nd of November 1952, did you and Derek Bentley climb onto the roof of Barlow and Parker with intent to steal?
Yes.
Did Derek Bentley say, "Let him have it, Chris"?
No.
Did you fire at Fairfax at a range of 6 feet?
No.
Did you fire at Fairfax at a range of more than 30 feet?
Yes.
Did Derek Bentley, at any point after the first shot was fired, come across the roof to reason with you?
Yes.
Was Derek Bentley still on the roof when you dived off?
Yes.
Did you have a face-to-face gun battle out in the open with any police officers?
No.
Did you see, on Barlow and Parker's roof, or any other roof, any armed police officers?
No.
That's the end of the test. Keep still, and I'll release the pressure from your arm. Well, Mr. Craig, you were obviously very nervous, but I've analysed the charts that the polygraph has produced, and the answers to all the questions were given truthfully. You have been telling the truth.
Thank you very much. I hope this will put this subject to bed once and for all now. And, you know, you've made my day, actually.
Good. The machine doesn't lie.
Thank God for that.
Neither do you.
No, thank you.
15 police officers gave evidence here at the Old Bailey in 1952. Of those, only 2 are still alive today. PC Norman Harrison and Detective Sergeant Frederick Fairfax. Both have since left the force. Norman Harrison has always refused to talk about his role in the Derek Bentley case. Last year, Frederick Fairfax told us he stood by the evidence he'd given at the trial. When we showed him the results of the polygraph test, he told us he didn't want to comment any further. We have informed the Home Office of the results of the polygraph test. Last year, we sent them the evidence of our 5 new witnesses. They also received scientific analysis commissioned by us that brings further into question the case against Derek Bentley. Linguistics expert Dr. Malcolm Coulthard has been carrying out tests on Bentley's statement given to the police on the night of the murder. Here at Birmingham University, Dr. Coulthard analyses speech patterns using a computer.
What we found in the main was that there were a series of features which made the text much more like the reports that the police would produce and very unlike features that an ordinary man in the street would produce.
He used nearly 2 million words in his computer to examine the contents of the statement. He concluded the words weren't Bentley's.
The form suggests that he had a tremendous amount of help with this text.
The police officers swore on oath at the trial that they did not ask Derek Bentley questions, that it was a verbatim account dictated to them which they just wrote down. From your conclusions, would you say that was the case?
No.
Derek Bentley was an epileptic. He also couldn't read or write. He had to dictate his statement to the police. It's a coherent and sophisticated document, yet his IQ puts him in the bottom 7% of the intelligence range. We asked Professor Lee Pearson, an educational psychologist and inventor of the modern IQ test, to examine the statement. Looking at the statement, what would you guess the IQ of the person who wrote it was?
I would have thought that this was almost certainly someone of average or slightly above average ability, but I think more than that, it's very typical of people who are drilled in making just that sort of concise statement, so it also shows a practiced skill.
The police officer swore on oath at the trial that it was a verbatim report of exactly what Derek Bentley told them. Do you feel that's the case?
I think there's enough collective evidence to suggest that that's most unlikely.
Last month, Iris Bentley finally had some good news. The Home Office announced it was reopening her brother's case and would be examining all the new evidence we had gathered.
I didn't hear Bentley speak the whole time, even when Fairfax grabbed him.
The last time Iris Bentley saw or heard Christopher Craig was 38 years ago when he stood alongside her brother in the dock of the Old Bailey.
Bentley wasn't aggressive.
Do you think Derek Bentley will get a pardon?
I sincerely hope so.
What do you think?
I'm choked. I'm very pleased that he's spoken on Derek's behalf. I'm sorry. I've waited so long for somebody to say what we've been saying over 40 years, that he didn't speak on the roof, that he was sent to get the gun. Derek told us this. We told the solicitor this when we saw Derek in the condemned cell.
Iris feels Derek's name must now be cleared, and she had this message for the Home Secretary.
Please, Mr. Baker, please, please look hard into this case. Just don't put it to one side. Go through all the facts so thoroughly. I don't mind waiting 3 months, 6 months, as long as you go through it so thoroughly to show that lies have been told. I'm sorry to say they have. And I want to be able to look up to British justice again.
If justice had been served, it wasn't served on Bentley. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, the law stands that justice has got to be seen to be done. Well, it's taken a long time to see justice done, but maybe it will be in the end. The judge said, could 3 officers swear a man's life away? I have seen 3 officers swear a man's life away.
It has to be said, though, your actions did lead to Derek Bentley's death.
I was acting on my own, see, so that is something that I've never really accepted, that I haven't ever accepted that I was responsible for that. I've seen them swear his life away, just as guilty as I was of shooting PC Miles. They are guilty of killing Bentley.
In 1966, Derek Bentley's body was exhumed from Wandsworth Prison. In an unusual move, the Home Office had allowed the family to rebury him at Croydon Cemetery, just a few yards from the ashes of PC Miles. Derek Bentley went to the gallows protesting his innocence and, in his own way, the guilt of others. In his last letter home, he wrote, "I tell you what, Mum, the truth of this story has got to come out one day. One day, a lot of people are going to get into trouble, and I think you know who those people are." Today we have sent all the new evidence contained in this programme to the Home Secretary, Mr. Kenneth Baker.
any Londoner, certainly any commuter, what's wrong with the city, and you're likely to get a one-word answer: transport. The roads are congested, buses...